Welcome aboard the RSS commentary. In today's top stories, from Newsweek, a highly pathogenic bird flu has been found in 3 states as the virus spreads to New York. From NPR, a more contagious version of Omicron is spreading through the U.S., fueling worries. And from Fox News, Canadian authorities are probing into leaked messages of police allegedly celebrating injuries of the protesters. And from Newsweek, mass Ukraine evacuations as over 60,000 flee to Russia amid fears of an imminent invasion. Everybody's been saying Joe Biden has just lost his mind or he's making stuff up. I don't know. It looks like Putin's moving in. I don't know. I personally think China Joe Biden works for Beijing. He has been taking millions of dollars from them. And when you take millions of dollars from people, you tend to be beholden to those people. So, he's instantly lost any sort of credibility. Like you can't trust him because he's part of the neocon war hawk crew that was with Hillary Clinton, that was said there was weapons of mass destruction in and around north, west, east, and south of Baghdad. They're also the same people that told you that we needed to go into Afghanistan to fight the 9/11 bombers when the buildings fell at free fall speed after the diesel generators blew up and a propane tank blew up in Building 7. And then they said there wasn't a controlled demolition, that it was a diesel tank, it was a fuel tank that blew up in all 3 buildings and caused the buildings to collapse at free fall speed. You would have heard the explosion for miles around. It was a generator tank that blew up and nobody even noticed. So how's this coffee doing? My coffee is still doing good. Still got coffee all over the floor in my bag from the mishap earlier. I don't know what to think. I think that the number one biggest threat to America is the Chinese Communist Party. 100%. There's no bigger threat to America than the Chinese Communist Party and this deep state psyop stuff that they're doing. So they're doing the CIA has been controlling or experimenting with different crowd control techniques during COVID, different propaganda techniques. They have plants in most major media outlets, like, for instance, Anderson Cooper. He went to Yale. He was recruited by the CIA to be a part of Operation Mockingbird. He was trained as a CIA agent, so he is a CIA plant. You cannot say that this dude is not a CIA plant. Oh no, he just went to a training camp when he was at Yale University where they recruit all the people from Operation Mockingbird. Give me a break, bro. You're an idiot if you think that. That is so naive. The guy is a Operation Mockingbird plant. Once you get tapped by the CIA and they train you, you are now an asset for them. Doesn't matter whether or not the person's saying, oh no, I'm not a CIA asset right now. Like the Nika Brzezinski, her dad, his really hard name to pronounce, Brzezinski, it's Russian. He was a top-ranking diplomat, and that woman has a lot of really powerful connections in the intelligence industry, and so they get leaks from these deep state operatives who are engaging in things like the Biden-Clinton crime ring, where they were tapping Trump Towers wires as well as the White House. They're trying to claim that they they were just like doing security for the White House. Nah, man, they're liars. A lot of people will believe it because some mainstream media put that stuff, like put out there, oh, you see, it was legit. They had a legit reason why they were looking at the White House DNS records that they were privileged to, because it was for security. No, they didn't have the right. They leaked it. So many people are just, they're not all the way there, so they wouldn't really put those two things together. But stuff like that makes Biden completely feckless. He's compromised. He's taken millions of dollars from the Chinese Communist Party and from that Ukrainian Burisma energy firm. He's got his corruption tentacles all over there in Ukraine. So you can't tell me that Joe Biden is not the most corrupt president of U.S. history, bar none. There ain't nobody out there that is more corrupt than China Joe Beijing Biden, aka Chimo Joe, because they found Ashley Biden's diary where she said she took a shower with Joe Biden and he was touching her. Not only that, Joe Biden groped women quite often, and one time at the White House when he was vice president, the Secret Service, he groped one of their agents' girlfriends, and the Secret Service had to pull this agent, restrain him from attacking then Vice President Joe the Groper Biden, and he streaked around the White House naked. So I mean, this guy's just creepy, dude. I mean, you compare this guy next to like Jeffrey Epstein, and like Epstein's looking like a player. And then Joe Biden is looking like really creepy. So, once you start stacking them next together, you can see the level of creep of Chimo Joe Biden. Here, let's move over to the other, to the news station. All right. Now, what am I supposed to do? Okay, hold on. I do everything live. You'll have to forgive me. It's not quite perfect yet. I'm getting there. I got the animations working right today, I think. So let's watch this. Do we have the damning pictures from the Canadian authorities? These text messages were just downright deplorable. They're absolutely not the kind of thing that we would want our police officers to be engaging in. This is the kind of behavior that sparks riots. So, says the Royal Canadian Mounted Police were looking into the leaked screenshot showing Canadian authorities repeatedly boasting about brute force on protesters demonstrating for freedom out there in Canada. A time for the protesters to hear our quote, time for the protesters to hear our jack boots on the ground, end quote. One member of the RCMP, or Royal Canadian Mounted Patrol, Musical Ride, allegedly wrote Musical Ride is described as a RCMP group assisting, quote, frontline police operations by building positive relationships, supporting recruiting efforts, and promoting the RCMP's image in communities in Canada. Okay, these people are absolutely the worst people that the RCMP would want in the news. Like, this is a PR nightmare for these guys, because every single thing that these protesters are protesting about has now been validated through the actions of these crazy, brutal jackboot thugs. They're actually admitting that they're jackboot thugs. I mean, that's how another level these guys are. Quote, okay, we can give out free hugs and unicorn stickers, end quote, the RCMP member allegedly said after receiving pushback for his, quote, jackboots, end quote, remark. Here's a picture of, it looks like kind of like a stock photo. I don't think it's the person in question. I don't know. We get the video of the horses trampling people. I did not see the video of the horses trampling with the protesters. I'm going to pull that up. Let's read some more of these quotes from these jackboot thugs. Quote, this material is not representative of those who have committed themselves to serving Canadians with integrity and professionalism, end quote, reads the statement. Quote, don't kick them all out until next week. Was it just one of these guys? It doesn't show. Are there any more of these? Here's the video of the trampling of the disabled woman.
Here comes the horses. They had the horses coming. Hey, stand down! Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness!
Whoa!
Oh my goodness! Look what you did! Look what you did to her! Look what you did to her!
That is what you call a jackboot thug right there. Damn! Just straight up stomping down on grandma. Dude, just no regard for grandma. Grandma is public enemy number one with these people. That was intense. I can't believe I just watched that. Oh my God. I mean, I've seen videos of Nazis in World War II doing stuff like this to old grandmas like that, to Jewish grandmas. But I mean, that's another level. That's just like reckless disregard for life right there. There's no other way to say that other than reckless disregard for life. Here in this next video, we could see a video that shows Freedom Convoy protesters spitting on reporters. That's embarrassing. We don't want to encourage behavior like that. I mean, that's not the kind of thing that we want to see at the protest. Nonviolent protest is the best protest. It is the... So here's a video of Trudeau arresting the protesters. Nonviolent protest works way better. Everybody's with you. The moment you start burning down the cities like this black looter mob, burning, looting, and murdering, well, you just instantly completely discredited everything that your movement has to say. These people proved that the so-called patriots, they're not terrorists, that the terrorists are actually in control of the government, and they're promoting rioting. Justin Trudeau himself facilitated the black looter mob, and he endorsed them. He condoned their protest, but the moment the opposition party is protesting and they're not burning down the city, then all of a sudden now they're like a terrorist threat. We have the video that they showed. Here's the video of the protesters.
But a few hours in, members of the media appeared to have demonstration, but a few hours in, members of the media appeared to have been harassed and intimidated, with two men attempting to spit on them.
Well,
demonstration.
That's sad that happened, but with the amount of fake news in the media has done it to themselves. But I mean, that's totally no excuse to be spitting on people. That's just totally not cool at all. Like, why are you spitting on people, man? I don't think that kind of behavior is the kind of behavior that we're wanting to have associated with our movement in any way, shape, or form. But hey, let's get back to the news feed. Here on the next article, we could see, here from Breitbart, Ottawa police claim Freedom Convoy finished, strict security measures stay to help, quote, community healing, end quote. You want to encourage community healing? Why don't you not try to lock down the country, impose these draconian measures to try to have a zero COVID policy that doesn't work, force everybody to wear masks, cause little kids to miss school and get speech impediments from the mask, make their lives not anywhere near as good as the quality of their parents' lives. It's not right. Like, they should have been the entire time trying to promote people losing weight so that they're not in the high risk group. But instead, they didn't do any of that. They shut down the gyms, and then they made us wear masks. They made us isolate. Now in Oregon, they had the outdoor mask mandate, which they're almost about to lift the mask mandates at the end of this month. But it's just insane. Like, the entire time, there was no science behind it. They claimed, like, oh, you got to trust the science. And then, like, none of their numbers that they showed what they were claiming at all. They all showed that for 99.9% of people, there was no risk at all. And so you're just basically destroying the economy and ruining, but like making people go lose their homes, their businesses, their jobs, all to attack the people who did not want to comply with the unscientific mask mandates and vaccine mandates. Like, I got permanently kicked out of Portland State University for criticizing the vaccine police. I got convicted by a short-haired, butch-looking woman that has she/her in her title, and just as her title implied, she was actually that much of a bitch, and she would not take my appeal. They convicted me with a preponderance of the evidence, which is illegal because they abridged my free speech, and when the government does that, they're required under Troxel v. Granville, 2001, U.S. Supreme Court, to use a process with clear and convincing evidence where the state has the burden of the proof, and they're required to use the least possible intervention to mitigate the detrimental circumstances. But they did not do that. Instead, they wanted to lay down the boot on my neck to punish me for the wrong thing and for the disrespect of their woke SJW party. And so they claim it's in your best interest because you don't know how to take care of yourself and your family. You don't know how to take risks and assess them. You don't know how to. It's like you're like, you got to wear like life vest when you're like not in the water. It's like, I'm not in the water. Why would I need to wear a life vest? They're like, oh, it's for your own self-protection. Why? Well, you might fall down, you might hurt yourself, or, somebody else might drown if you're not wearing your life vest on the shore. Like, okay, that's about how much sense it made. But the problem is that during all these pandemics, people end up getting mass formation psychosis. So it's the Steven Pinker's universal morals, the moral pillar of cleanliness. People go insane because they don't know how the diseases are spreading around. So they develop all these superstitions, and it's like immoral if you go against it, because they thought that lowered the death rate. And it's all about evolutionary psychology, where you got groups are trying to cooperate with their in-group to be dominant of out-groups so that their group can dominate. And they use the moral pillars in order to achieve this. And so that they moral pillar of cleanliness is their group of people attempting to maintain dominance over the other groups so that their group can flourish. It's just what all humans do. But they always say you have to give up your rights for safety, because somebody else is going to get hurt. There's going to be children who are getting hurt. And so you have to give up your guns. You have to give up your free speech. You have to give up your right to equal treatment under the law, because if there's an emergency, there's these evil white supreme pizza, all right, extremists who are they're pushing this misogynistic, racist, conservative ideology that teaches this tough love and this entrepreneur mentality where you take the responsibility upon yourself, the extreme ownership. But this is an existential threat to their ideology. They cannot have you thinking for yourself, because their ideology is the cult of the state. Fundamentally, what these people are doing is that they think that they know how to manage society best, they meaning the state, and that you need to give up your own autonomy and your rights in order for the greater good, because you are just one cog in a greater wheel. And so by you just laying down your life and sacrificing everything for the good of the people, then somebody else will live then a better life. And it's a bunch of nonsense, because what they're doing is they don't actually have a legitimate system that people will voluntarily comply with. So in order, liberals put the moral pillar of fairness above all other moral pillars, and they will use, because people don't voluntarily comply with this, they then use the moral pillar of authority in order to basically club you over the head to make you comply by making your life progressively worse and worse and worse until they built a new system, their corrupt cronies and their donor networks, and they want to move you into their system by slowly and surely destroying your life until you have no choice but to come into their new system that they built, their new socialist system with their social credit score, where your past follows you around forever, like those shit posts on social media. And eventually they have total control, because they were the ones that manufactured the crisis in the beginning in order to usher you into this new world order where you will own nothing and you will be happy. Hashtag communism. Because these people always beeline it for the authoritarianism. They, like Justin Trudeau, dictator of Nazi Canada, he loves Xi Jinping, dictator of Nazi China, and he thinks that Xi Jinping has really turned China around because they could just tell people what to do and they do it, so that allows them to turn their society around on a dime to become the world's superpower. So he's now trying to mimic this system here in the United States. And he has proven, basically, the guy is an absolute fascist. Here, moving on to this next article from NPR, more contagious version of Omicron spreads in the U.S., fueling worries. The Omicron BA2 variant spreads about 30% more easily and cause surges in other countries. So if you're unfamiliar, the Omicron variant was originally named the Z variant, as in Greek letter Z, Z-I, but the World Health Organization, the organization that used to put out the fake research articles about how marijuana is a dangerous gateway drug, they did some, they said that they didn't want to, their puppet that's in control of the WHO was installed by the Chinese Communist Party, and he did not want to offend Dictator Zinni the Pooh of Nazi China, so they skipped the letter Z, and so now we have the Omicron variant, which I still call the Z variant, but after the Z variant is the final variant, the communist variant. So the communist variant has officially broken out. It is 30% more contagious than the prior Z variant. And after I got the Z variant, I was very sick. And within 2 days, I was able to learn fluent Mandarin Chinese. And that was a joke. But this next variant that is now circulating and is about to exponentially grow faster than you could possibly make a vaccine for it is the communist variant. So you better stock up on guns and ammo, because the far left lunatics who've been burning, looting, and murdering as they destroy our cities during a pandemic when we're having economic hardships, they are now in control. They have been flooding the country with illegal immigrants who they've been teaching that there is systemic racism, that there's these big bag conservative wolves that are coming, that are trying to take away their welfare and their food stamps that the Democrats are giving the illegal immigrants to get them to vote blue no matter who. And now that they have this wonderful non-stop state of emergency, now they're able to just grab all the levers of power. All they got to do is just take the COVID virus and just genetically modify it just a little bit and then just release it. And next thing you know, boom, you got all different variants of the communist variant. Next thing you know, we're going to have the fascism variant, and we're going to have the Nazi variant. It's going to sweep through. Mark my words. This is an official prediction. We will officially go from the communist variant to the fascist variant to the Nazi variant. You could come back in, I'm going to give it no more than 5 years, and you can call me out on that. Here in this next article from Newsweek, mass Ukraine evacuations as over 60,000 flee to Russia amid invasion fears. The Kremlin-backed rebel leaders have warned without evidence that Ukrainian armed forces could launch an attack on the separatist regions. The Ukrainian government has consistently declined plans to do so, while the United States has warned that Moscow may fabricate a, quote, pretext to justify the invasion of Ukraine. And maybe Putin never even had this intention, but then Joe Biden manufactured it because he's that sketchy. He takes millions of dollars from our number one enemy, the Chinese Nazi Party, and he uses that to sell access to the White House. And he funnels the money through his crackhead son, Hunter Biden. You want proof of this? Just look into the laptop that the crackhead left at the repair shop that's got all that dirty information. Hunter Biden was good friends with one of the chief spies in China. They had penetrated that deep. They were friends, and he knew they were spies, and he still took their money. Next article from Daily Mail, Ukraine crisis, Putin to decide today on sending troops. Vladimir Putin will decide today whether to recognize Ukraine's eastern regions as independent states, paving the way for Russia to send troops into the country to defend. What is this media outlet again? The New Yorker. Sorry. From the New Yorker, Putin prepares. The autocrat has been trying for decades to end what he sees as a prolonged period of Russian humiliation. I would say, yeah, they were definitely the laughing stock of the scientific community. I mean, when you talk about ghetto stuff that is like really weird, you could look at the USSR. I mean, but that's because honestly, because they had so many different projects that the state sponsored, that they got some weird stuff, but they were pretty good at making stuff. It's just that communism doesn't work, and that their economy was just, their economy just was not able to facilitate the selling of the products so that you can make a profit so that you can actually run a business. That's why the USSR fell apart. Here, this next article from the Times of Israel. Kremlin says no concrete plans for Ukraine peace summit with the U.S. The meeting was spearheaded by French President Macron, is cautiously seen by Kiev as a way to avert a catastrophic war. Let's just hope that we can use diplomacy. We don't need to be getting into a fight with Russia. They're definitely decked out military-wise. They got nukes. Not the kind of war we want to engage in. Ukraine used to be part of Russia. They have to defend themselves. They didn't join NATO, so I don't know what to tell them. Tough luck. Defend yourself. Maybe make some alliances so that this won't happen. Maybe you should never have allowed that pipeline to go through, because then it gave them a reason to attack. And then now they're attacking, which basically I said that they were going to do the entire time. Here in this next article from Fox News, Russia-Ukraine crisis, Lloyd Austin's top task as Biden's defense secretary. This is, if you're unfamiliar with this guy, this is one of those woke generals, friends with General Mark Milley, the guy who wants to know all about critical race theory. Mainly, he said that because he was ignorant of it, and he said that, he's read Hitler and Mao. I have read Hitler's Mein Kampf, and I did actually learn a lot from it. There's a lot of hidden stuff in there because he invented Nazism. Hitler wasn't anti-Semitic, and then he got in a government overthrow plot. He went to jail, got into cabal with some communists to overthrow Europe, and then he started working with Stalin. He overthrew the government. He had help, and they invented Nazism because it was a disinformation plan. They were spreading anti-Semitism with the communists in order to attach all that's evil with capitalism with Jewry. They made the Jews sound like they're like white nationalists, basically. They said that they're a threat to the homeland, that they they have these capitalist businesses, that they're taking the fruits of the labor of the proletariat, and they're using it to fund a religion that you disagree with, and they live beneath the standards of the Germans. So I was studying propaganda. I wanted to know how the propaganda worked for my book, Wiki Spy Cookbook. And so I found it to be incredibly useful. So I am going to back up this woke General Mark Milley, who was an absolute belly flopper. Beijing Biden obviously works for China because he did not replace the generals after they had that completely disastrous botched pull out of Afghanistan. I mean, we got like thousands of troops stationed all around the world in every single place where we've ever had a war. We've been there forever. But he couldn't leave any troops behind in Afghanistan, but he could pull out with $80 billion worth of military equipment that he then gave over to a terrorist group, the Taliban, that is misogynistic and rapes boys, or what they call bocce boys. They're a sick, disgusting group of people who are misogynists. Here in the United States, they don't know the difference between sexism and misogyny. Sexism can be like compassionate sexism. So like there's a range from like holding open the door for women, the guy having gender roles, paying for stuff, the woman being the homemaker. And then there is misogyny, but misogyny is not the same thing as sexism, but people have no clue. So they just go insane. Anytime you bring up any stuff like this is why they're woke. It's because fundamentally they're so triggered and so angry about these things that they think aren't fair, that we're holding down the white women and the minorities and the LGBTQ, CIA, MSDNC people. So I mean, these people, you can't trust anybody who's even diverts their attention to shit like this to run any sort of organization that is important. Because if you're going to run these organizations, you have to be 100% dedicated to the task in front of you. You can't be messing around with woke shit. Like you can't be reading books on critical race theory when your job is to run the military. I mean, come on. That's just some bozo stuff that you just don't do. It's like, yeah, I mean, I read Hitler because it was a military threat. I mean, are you saying that critical race theory is a military threat? I would agree with that. Now, if you said we're reading this stuff because we think it's a military threat to us, well, now that makes a little bit more sense. But the way these guys come off are some like woke libtards that can't do anything right. They just botch everything that they do, and they do it because the people at the top are corrupt. They're paid off. They work for China. Beijing Biden is a child molester who works for China. He sold us out. He sold access to the White House. He molested his daughter. He gropes women. He streaks around the White House naked. He's absolutely creepy. And he was in with Hillary Clinton. Hillary Rotten Clinton. Crooked Hillary. The one that spied on the White House and Trump Tower and made up a bunch of stuff about Russiagate to get Trump impeached. These people are criminals. We need to lock them up. All right? Now hit the like button down below. Drop a comment. Here, the next article from the New York Post. Russian attack on Ukraine could be hours or days away, National Security Advisor says. This next article from The Hill. Ukraine presses for participation in Biden-Putin summit. A top Ukrainian official said on Monday that diplomatic talks between the United States and Russia can only succeed if Kiev is involved. Quote, no one can resolve our issues without us. And quote, Oleksiy Danilov, Ukraine's top security officials told ... You know, that it sums it up right there perfectly. Why on earth is Joe Magoo Biden, the streaking White House chimo groper, the guy that walks around naked and gropes women in the White House and molests children, why is this guy going behind the Ukraine prime minister's back, or president, in order to make decisions for his country, saying that there's this invasion, trying to stoke up all this fear based on this deep state military industrial complex that says there's weapons of mass destruction north, west, east, and south of Baghdad. You need to go get the bad guys. There's that way. Get them. The ones that told you that the World Trade Centers fell from buildings that hit planes that hit the buildings, and that's caused the buildings to heat up to 1,000 degrees, and the entire building heated up to 1,000 degrees, even the parts that weren't on fire, all the way down to the bottom. The whole thing heats up to 1,000 degrees. They said there was no controlled demolition because there was a fuel tank explosion in all the buildings, and it took out the core. So there couldn't have been a controlled explosion or controlled demolition because it was a fuel tank that blew up. No, people would have heard it around for miles, dude. No, you would have heard the thermite around for miles. The thing that doesn't explode, the thing that melts, you would have heard that for miles away. No. You heard a fuel tank exploded, and it took out the primary support column. So there wasn't any explosives in the World Trade Center. It was a fuel tank. You're crazy. It didn't fall at free fall speed because of thermite. No. It came from a fire on the top floor that caused the entire thing to heat up to 1,000 degrees and fall at free fall speed. These people are criminals. We need to lock them up. Here in this next article from the Daily Mail, U.S. diplomats warn that Russia is planning human rights abuses. They have a list of Ukrainians, quote, to be killed or sent to camps, and, quote, following a military occupation. U.S. diplomat Bashelba Neil Crocker, I bet she's friends with Betty Crocker, warned the High School Commission on Human Rights. She told Commissioner Michelle Bachelet in an early warning letter that the invasion would be a human rights catastrophe. Abuses have already been documented in Crimea, which Russia invaded and annexed in 2014. Crocker wrote that the LGBTQ, CIA, MSM-DNC, LMNOP people, ethnic and religious minorities, as well as journalists, would be targeted. Russia is creating lists of names of Ukrainians to be marked for assassination or forced disappearance. Peaceful protests in Ukraine will be met with deadly force. Damn. Camera's always going down. Typically at like some awkward moment. I don't know what to think. I don't think it's true. I don't. I think that they're making up lies. You can't trust a single word that comes out of these people's mouth because they do false flag operations like January 6th, where Trump requests extra National Guard troop, and then Nancy Pelosi, who is in control of the security at the Congress, and the U.S. Capitol Police, who is the other party involved in security, they both turned down the extra National Guard troops and the requested additional U.S. Capitol Police because they said they didn't want to provoke a riot. So obviously they were trying to, it had something to do with a riot, that they were trying to do something about a riot, which they said they were trying to stop a riot, and then they understaffed it, and then you had this Fed provocateur Ray Epps, who started January 6th, who the FBI is still not prosecuting, the guy obviously told people to go into the building. The guy obviously started the riot, but they won't prosecute him because he's one of those unidentified federal agents that was in the crowd. And admittedly, yes, the Trump supporters did engage in the riot once it started, but it was started by a Fed provocateur who the feds aren't charging. And they're cracking down on everybody else for less insignificant or way more insignificant stuff. This guy actually started it. Ray Epps is a federal agent. I don't care what the hell the guy said. Oh, I'm not a Fed agent. No, I'm just a part of the Oath Keepers, which is a group of federal agents. He was just one of the heads of the Oath Keepers. No, he's not a federal agent. No, he's just one of the heads of them. Sorry, let me try to fix this camera. My USB hub. Sorry about that. I think it's on, but I don't know. So yeah, this is why we need to probably impeach Joe Biden, because you can't have any confidence in the guy. That's the problem with China Joe, Beijing Biden, the streaking White House groper. Is you're all the only way that you could actually vote no on a no confidence vote is if you're insane or you're completely corrupt or you're just naive and stupid. The guy got paid off by the Chinese Communist Party millions of dollars through his crackhead son Hunter Biden to buy access to the White House. There's no confidence just based on that one accusation alone. He took millions of dollars from the Burisma Ukraine energy firm. His son was involved in all kinds of shady stuff, taking like $500,000 for his shitty paintings. And he said, "Oh no, we're not like I don't know who bought the paintings for $500,000. No, we just met them at an event selling it. I don't know who bought it." Like, dude, the entire point of them giving you $500,000 for your shitty painting is that they're trying to buy access to Joe Biden to get into a room with you, and they would just give you $500,000 just to get to the event so that they could talk to you. That's the problem. And these people in the media are so corrupt, they lie to you left and right. Nonstop. And it's because they got all kinds of CIA Operation Mockingbird plants over there. And so you can't trust any of the news that comes from them because it's bullshit clickbait controlled by some CIA operative like Anderson Cooper or Mika Brzezinski. And then you got all these conflicts of interest. You got Joe Biden having one disaster after another, where like he left Afghanistan with no troops, with $80 billion worth of military equipment there, when we have troops stationed all around the world, tens of thousands of troops everywhere, 15,000 troops in Germany. But we can't leave any troops behind in Afghanistan because he's corrupt. He sold us out. He did it on purpose so that China could move in and get access to the lithium. I mean, the dude's corrupt. We got 25 a.m. I mean, he's got to go to jail. We got to lock this motherfucker up. We got to lock Hillary Rotten Clinton up. We got to lock Bill Clinton up. We got to lock up every motherfucker that was on Lolita Express. We got to lock up every person that's involved in this open borders thing with the cartel, where they're using children to distract the border patrol while they're bringing in fentanyl. Kids are dying out in the middle of the desert, and if they're not, they actually make it through. They're getting sex trafficked. And the Democrats, they tolerate it because they want to get access to the Latinos' children too, so they can keep blowing money, and so they can engineer the election outcome by giving food stamps and welfare to the Latinos. Right? Like, these people are a crime family. You can't consciously vote yes on vote no on no confidence vote. The guy had that diary of how Joe Biden molested his daughter, Ashley Biden. Chimo Joe, the guy that gropes women, the creepy dude that comes up behind women and sniffs them. And now we got him in control, or like one of the biggest crises of modern time. And it's all just distraction from the biggest enemy, which is China, the ones that Joe works for. I got to move on. I'm taking too long. Here on this next article from the Daily Beast, John Oliver returns to expertly debunk the right-wing pandemic over critical race theory. We covered this just a moment ago. I'm not going to go too into detail about this because I just covered it, but I did watch my son in online school here in Eugene, Oregon, saw some batshit crazy feminist woman teaching my son some microaggression critical race theory training where they were trying to teach my son that white people are the oppressor class who oppress the victim class, the non-whites, and the women and the gay people and the trans people. And it was during Black History Month where they were talking about how bad white people are the whole month, nonstop. They just say, oh, they're just talking about Black history. But what is this Black history about? It's about the bad shit that white people did to them. They keep putting out all this hostile rhetoric, trying to get these kids to get trans surgeries, do gender reassignment behind their parents' backs because their parents, they're too sexist and transphobic and homophobic and racist and misogynist to raise their own children. You need some idiot public school teacher telling you how to raise your kids. Oh, wait. Sorry. Man. I messed up there, huh? Oops. Yeah, this guy, John Oliver, is an idiot. He's a political hack. His entire identity is revolved around getting money from Democrats to do shitty pre-written bits by other people to be the Operation Mockingbird plant to distribute the psyop propaganda to the masses because you got to get all these people hating white people in order for the Democrats to maintain office because it's way easier to hobble together a bunch of disaffected minority groups by telling them that white people are bad and they'll give you the white people's money than it is to actually come up with good policies that make the country run right. That's the problem with these people is every last little thing that the Democrats do is based around their absolute shit plan of critical race theory. It's all based around trying to make white people sound bad because the white people aren't voting for them. So they just gave up on him. They don't represent you no more, dude. You're a white supreme pizza, extremist, and you are the out group. You're not in the in group, bro. You're not in the big tent, dude. No, you're out. You are the one who is now going to be stripped of your job, your home, your business, your children, your retirement funds, everything, because they want socialism. You got too much money in your retirement account, bro. Your family saved too much money. Your family did everything right. And the black kids, they were disrespectful in school. They got Fs. They were gangbanging. They were trying to be a rapper, trying to do some other side hustle so that they don't have to work for the man because they hate white people because white people oppress their people and they got beef. And then whenever their life doesn't turn out near as good as the Asians who are working extremely hard, now they say it's white supremacy. That's the reason why they were out partying, doing drugs, fucking bitches, gang banging, robbing people, beating people up, shooting people, doing drive-bys, murdering people. And so because they want to get some of that money laundering money because they see their homeboys who are selling all this dope, working for the record labels, where they're laundering the money through these record deals. And they want to get some of that. They want to be in the spotlight. They want to be Instagram famous, bro. They don't care if they knock up some bitch and then they're not there for their kid. They'll just do it again. They don't care. It's all about me in that industry. It's all about look at me. It's all about how much money do I got, how much bling do I got. And they don't care about their family, and then they say it's white supremacy. Right, it's white supremacy, which is why the failed public schools always got a nonstop supply of paying guaranteed customers from the public school. They don't have any incentive to give you a good product. And they don't fire the bad apple teachers because they got the teachers union. Teacher union controls the Democrats. They just shuffle the bad teachers around till next thing you know, you get the crabby substitute teacher, Mrs. Appleby, coming out of the closet every once in 6 months going,
I'm here today. I'm Mrs. Appleby, and I'm here today to teach you about communism. My idol Karl Marx, he wrote his Communist Manifesto, and white people are bad. They got them capitalist businesses, and they're exploiting the fruits of the labor of the proletariat. They're the reason why you're getting F's and you're going around fucking bitching and gangbanging. You're robbing, you're stealing, you're selling drugs, you're smoking crack, you're banging dope. It's white supremacy. You should vote for Democrats because we're feminists. And it's like they can't even see, because it's like the kids, they just think like, okay, this bitch is kind of crazy, like she's just stupid. They just don't pay attention to it. They have no idea that these people are just blaming other things for all of the failures of the failed public schools. And then they try to tell you anybody who's trying to push for school choice is like white supreme pizza, all extremist, because like to them they think the state is like perfect. And that it's the only reason why the state is not working right is because these white supreme pizza, all extremists, these misogynists that are oppressing the women, the minorities, and the LGBTQ, CIA, MSDNC, LMNOP people. And I've wasted way too much time on this trash. This guy's trash. You should go watch his videos and just leave some comments about how trash he is, because the dude, I mean, this dude's anti-white racist. He espouses decolonization rhetoric. He's probably working for CIA Operation Mockingbird, trying to do some psyop on you to try to get you to be a more docile, passive, easier to control person. Here in this next article from Breitbart, Joe Biden cancels trip home to Delaware, agrees to meet again with Putin if he does not invade Ukraine.